here. There we go. Now I'm live. Now, ran into a little bit of difficulty here today, trying to get everything up and running. Marty's not going to be able to join us this evening, so I'm going to try and do this myself. Please announce yourself as you come in the room. Got a lot of great information to go over here this evening. And let me say, matter of fact, let me look. There we go. So I want to start off first. I know that about over a month ago, there was some chatter about the Hershey RV show. And, you know, about a month ago, people were saying the RV show is canceled. The RV show is canceled. And actually, a month ago, what happened was it was just that you had a major dealer, which was Camping World, pulled out of the Hershey RV show. Just last Tuesday, late Tuesday, and I wish I would have known about this last Tuesday. I would have announced it last week. But last Tuesday, they actually made the announcement that there will not be the Hershey RV show. So that is a fact now. It's not actually happening. Now let's talk about, I'm going to do some industry updates here about what's going on and so forth, because when you look back at when all this stuff happened over the last few months, you know, a lot of businesses in the industry, both dealers, suppliers. Good evening there, Endless RVing. Glad you joined me here this evening. But a lot of the manufacturers, suppliers, and everything closed down for several weeks. Some longer than others. Some got up running sooner than others. And so what happened was there was a cutoff to product getting to the dealerships. So now what we're seeing at the dealership, and this is just not our dealership, this is across the country, is a very low inventory at dealerships. Just to kind of give you a perspective of our dealership, we've got a pretty good sized dealership for our location. Typically we have over 400 units in stock at any given time. I think we're down to under 100, and the majority of those are sold. And just to give you an idea of what is happening with that is we have had last Thursday, we had 9 units actually come in to that were from the factory. They were delivered. 8 of those were sold. So that's the next thing we're going to run into. You know, I don't see our inventory level getting larger anytime soon. It's probably going to be next spring before we're actually back up to our 400 unit in stock because of the way things are going. Now, with that being said, now the next thing that's happening, and that is with deliveries coming from the manufacturers. Now we have all this product that's sitting there at the factories, and you only have so many drivers. So now you might have had something delivered within a week. Now we're having things taken 2, maybe 3 weeks from the time it comes offline, it's ready to ship, to where before we're even receiving it. So that's the next thing that came up. Now the third whammy has hit, and that is dealing with supplies. So whereas, for instance, Grand Design, there was a lot of product that they would put 2 air conditioners on because that's just the way that they build them. But because of some supplies, they're cutting it back, and they're only going to put 1 AC on, which means now it's going to be up to the dealer to install the second AC, which we did a lot of times anyway, on a lot of the smaller product. But so that's going to create a problem. And we're seeing that at the dealer level also. You know, if somebody comes in, they've got a 2019 Ford truck, and they want to get a fifth wheel hitch, and they have the puck system in it. Well, we don't have it readily available because, again, the supply chain has been disrupted, and that's been sold out. So now, I mean, we're scouring all over the country to try and find product. Case in point, today I had a delivery going out, and we're just, it was a simple Voyager rear observation camera. We didn't have one. I mean, well, we had one, but the one we had did not fit the pre-wired one. So now we've got to wait till we get that one here in stock. So, it's a crazy, crazy turn of events, and it's going to continue. I think, for the next couple months till things kind of slow down. Now, it's kind of a blessing in disguise by not having the Hershey RV show, because all of those units that would have been allocated to the Hershey RV show now can be allocated to dealers. Now, keep in mind, some of these manufacturers, that's not going to be a whole heck of a lot. Just for instance, like A-Liner, they were going to only build maybe 6 or 7 units for the Hershey RV show. New Camp would have had 4 or 5. So it's not like it's a lot of product, but still, it's a product anyway. So that's kind of like an update on that. Let me just kind of see who's in the house here. First in the house here, we had Endless RVing. Appreciate you all showing up. Yeah, and a matter of fact, and I believe you all had announced back about a month ago about the Hershey RV show, and it did come fruition what you were saying. RV Kids TV, glad to see you're in the house. George Danik, that's my millionaire buddy. He's up there in Michigan right now. He's got his other mansion down there in Florida, sitting on, I think it's like 1/8 of an acre. I mean, land is expensive down there. Bobby Gravely, appreciate you showing up. Chuck Ash, down there on the Eastern Shore. Hope everything's going well with you, sir. Of course, I didn't think my lovely wife was going to make it here this evening, but she actually did make it down. She was able to get me a water, so we're ready to rock and roll here. JLS Love Life there from Texas. Glad you're in the house. KNR, hey, I have not forgotten about you. I'm going to get to you tomorrow, get you that pricing. So just want to let you know I have not forgotten about you here. Let's see if I've and we got Blake is in the house. Some people call him Balaki. However you pronounce it, he is in the house. He's out there traveling. I think the other day, when I was talking to him, he was down there in Texas. So he's out there running around, making deliveries. Tell you, he's got a tough job maneuvering out there, because I know that the traffic is getting to be a little busy out there. So now let's talk about what the next thing I was going to talk to you about, because I see there's a lot of confusion out there, and I'm going to try and see if I get this stuff right. I want to talk about the different types of RVs that are out there. And let's see what we got here. See if I get this put up here. I know I need to make it bigger so you guys can see it here. So the first thing we're going to talk about here is pop-ups. Now, pop-ups, they come in all different shapes and sizes. I say shape and sizes. They come from tiny, being this small. They get rather expensive. Some of these pop-ups can be as much as a travel trailer. I mean, you even have the Sylvan Go, and I didn't get a picture of the Sylvan Go Sport. It's kind of a utility trailer sport, utility pop-up all in one. So you have your normal pop-up. You also have the high-lows, which are considered a pop-up. That's one of them. The next thing you have is you have the A-liners. A-liners are still a pop-up, but they're more of a hard-sided pop-up. Very simple to put up. And then these actually come in a couple different ways. You can get them with dormers on them, here like that, the soft dormers, or you can even get them with hard dormers. So it gives you extra headroom inside. So that's the first thing I wanted to cover, was pop-ups. Whoops, I went ahead and just dropped that down by accident. Let me get that back up there again. Let's see here. Now I've got to figure out how to pull this back up here. Oh my goodness. Now I did something, and now I don't know what I did here, folks. There we go. Okay, got us back up here. Next thing I want to cover is travel trailers. And travel trailers is not very hard for travel trailers, but there's really about 2 different types of travel trailers that you have. You have your standard travel trailer, and they can come in multiple sizes, anywhere from 15 footers, maybe even a little bit less, all the way up. And part of travel trailers could be also what they call teardrops, little teardrop travel trailers. Something else that might get mixed into travel trailers, although they're really not, is the hybrids. And the hybrids are the ones, the expandables. They have the bed ends that go out to the side, out to the front and back, and maybe the side. So that is travel trailers. Now, another travel trailer that they have, but they call them destination trailers, or they might call them park models. And that is typically for people that are going to go ahead and put those on a campground and keep them there permanently, because these things are heavy. Tongue weights could be upwards of 2,000 pounds. They are not very tow friendly, let's say. Our driver hates delivering these to the campgrounds. Now, the next thing we have, is, let me get rid of that here. I'm doing it again here, folks. You know, I'm new at this, and I'm still trying to figure it out, and I will figure it out here eventually. But next thing you're going to have is your fifth wheels. Now, in the fifth wheels, and again, they're going to come in a multitude of sizes. You could get these things as small as like 24 foot, and they could be upwards of 45 feet. So that is another one that you could talk about. And then there's different types of fifth wheels. You know, they came out with these fifth wheels back a few years ago, calling them half-ton towables. Be very careful if you're looking at those and you have a half-ton. Make sure you understand your capacities, because they are not necessarily half-ton towable. A lot of those do need larger trucks in order to tow them. Next thing, what I'm going to talk to you about is sport utility, or what we call toy haulers. Now, toy haulers, they could be a travel trailer, as you can see right here. So you could have a travel trailer. It could be, see if I can get this thing to switch. Nope, can't do that. You could have a fifth wheel. They also come in different size travel trailers. These, by the way, these toy haulers can come. We have one that's only about 21 feet in length. Can't carry much in weight wise, but you also could see these things in what we call a pop-up. What we call it, this could be a toy hauler pop-up. Some people might not think of them as such. You could also see toy haulers in Class C motorhomes, as well as Class A's. Let me see if I can get that Class A up there. Class A's, you know, you have the Outlaw, and you also have Newmar has a Class A toy hauler. So those are the different styles of sport utility, or what they would call toy haulers. Now, the next thing I want to go through is Class B's. Class B's, there's a number of different ones that are out there, and I'll tell you, they're hot on the market now. I mean, they're highly sought out after. You might find these on a Ford Transit. You might find it on a Dodge chassis. You might find it on a Mercedes. So there's different ones. You might find two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, but they are just incredibly hot right now in the market. So the other thing you see, so that was a two-wheel drive one. Let's see if this one's actually going to pop up here. It's there we go. This is what we call the Revel from, is the Revel up by chance? Is
that long one with the thing?
No, it's a short one here. Short. The Revel is a 4x4. Let me see if I get that up here. And for some reason, it's not coming up here. But anyway, they do have four-wheel drive. And then the other thing you're seeing in the Class B, and a number of different manufacturers have them, is the pop top. Kind of going back to the old Volkswagen Vanagon. They're pretty stylish. They're not overly expensive. Some of them come very basic. Others come highly well equipped. So those are what we call Class Bs. Now, there are some things out there. I'm going over now to what we call the Class C, because I see there's people out there that will say that this would be a B plus because it doesn't have the bed over. There's really no such thing as a B plus out there. And the reason for it is this is a cutaway chassis. That is what a Class C stands for. It's the cutaway. And as you can see, it's wider than an actual Class B. Some people might consider that or this particular one from Coach House, and there's others out there as well, to be what they call a B plus. But in reality, when they are registered in your state, they're registered as a Class C motorhome. Typically this is what people are seeing as a Class C, as your normal ones that they come over the bed over top of the where you're driving. You can get these Class C's in a Ford, Chevy, Mercedes. There's a number of different chassis out there. Even the Ford Transit has one out there. So multitude of different ways that you can get the Class C, and those are out there. And I'll tell you, they're very, very popular. Now, something else that is a Class C, but it is being pushed off as a Class A, and that is this access, because it's actually on a Class C chassis. And if you ever see them on the lot and you get up close to them, you could see them that it's very narrow in the front and then it flares out to the back. It's actually a Class C chassis made to look like and give you the feel of a Class A. So quite the mix that they did there. So see, RV Dog is in the house. Appreciate you showing up here this evening. See, Steve showed up here this evening. The Hershey show is a no-show now, Steve, as I just found out last week. So those are the Class C's. Class A's, now there are a number of different Class A's out there, and Class A's could be anywhere from about 27 feet, let me see if I can get those, up to about 40 feet in Class A gas motorhomes. And a lot of different manufacturers, and they run the gamut. And the nice thing about the Class A is the fact that you're all on one level in most of them, versus a Class C. Some of the Class C's you might not be on multiple levels or on one level. But then bigger thing with Class A's, moreover than the Class C's, is most of them are going to have the leveling systems, higher cargo carrying capacities, due to the fact that when you're looking at Class C's, you might only have an 11,000 or 14,500 pound chassis. When you're going to the gas motorhomes, you could have chassis from 16,000 gross vehicle weight rating up to 26,000 pounds. And that's a Class A gas. Now, the next thing we're talking about when we're talking about Class A's, something you're going to see returning to the market is what we call Freds. And what a Fred is, it's a front engine diesel. So the front engine diesel is coming back. I think the first one we're going to be getting is going to be in a 39-foot new bar toy hauler. So once we do get one of those in, I'll be sure to go ahead and go over that. By the way, the new Class A gas motorhomes, they're coming out with that new engine. It's a 7.3. So once one of those do hit the lot, I will be bringing that to you and explaining that stuff to you. It's going to be quite interesting. A lot to learn on that stuff. I'm just trying to switch to show you the last thing I want to talk to you about, and we get into any questions you might have. And that is, well, actually, I do have one more thing after this I want to talk to you about, and that is Super C's, because that is the one thing I forgot to mention about. Diesel pushers. Now, diesel pushers, again, they run the gamut. You may find diesel pushers as small as 32 feet, and they're going to go all the way up to 45 feet. Now, they call it a diesel pusher because the diesel engine is in the back. Now, your lower-end diesel pushers are going to have your typical gas-style brakes and shock systems for suspension. When you get into your higher-end diesel pushers, that's when you're get into the air ride and your air brakes, and so more comfortable riding and so forth. And I'll tell you, if you are in the market for a diesel pusher and you're going to be spending considerable amount of money, let's say, closer to the $300,000 range, do put Newmar on your radar. Take a look at, you've got to drive that and compare that driving system to a lot of the others, because they have a comfort steer. And I'll tell you, once you drive that, you're gonna be pretty impressed. I liken it to the comparing it to driving. If any of you out there are as old as I am, driving back before they had power steering in cars, and then they went ahead and went back to then you had power steering. That's what I compare it to. It is that much. I mean, you could just literally steer it with one finger. It's that easy. And if you go on Newmar's website, they actually show the owner's wife driving her $1 million King Air through the town up there in Napanee, Indiana. Now, the next thing that I covered, I missed one that I forgot to cover. Whatever happened to the Rialto? I see somebody had a question there. Rialto went by the wayside, and that would have been a class. That was kind of in the Class B, and that was on a small Toyota chassis. Quite the coach it was back in the day. Next thing what I want to go over is the Super C. Now, Super Cs, I covered Class Cs earlier. A Super C is something that's going to be on a Ford F550 chassis, whereas when you're looking at your typical Class C motorhomes on a Ford chassis, they're on the Ford 350 chassis or the 450 chassis, and they'll have a V8 or the V10 in them. These, you're typically going to be getting a diesel engine in them, so it's going to be a heavier chassis, larger tires, different suspension. Now, so this is one of the Class Cs that you'll see once I get this mouse to the other thing you can see when you go to Super Cs is they actually do start getting larger. You might get them on the Freightliner chassis, as you can see here. So that gets to be a pretty big thing. This is a Dynamax. I'll tell you, quite the chassis. And these are typically going to have much larger diesel engines in them, higher towing capacities, cargo carrying capacities. I mean, these things are beasts, as you can see. If you're looking at the Renegades, these things, trying to see if for some reason it's not going bigger for me, but that's the Renegade. I think hopefully this next one, this is a show hauler. Let's see if I get this one bigger. These things are beasts. I actually did a video on one of the show haulers we actually got in on trade, and I'll tell you what, it could tow 30,000 pounds. It was just a massive hitch receiver on the back. So that is all of the different types of RVs that are out there. And what I'm going to do is I want to go through and see what questions. Of course, we had one 1325T asking about the Rialto. And the Rialto was a Winnebago product, and we still get those in every now and again. So, Kathy Beal, glad to see you join me this evening here. Appreciate that. See, I'm getting a text here. Yeah, that was nice. My buddy wanted to say nobody was as old as I am when I was talking about the power steering versus non-power steering. So, and yeah, those Super Cs, I'll tell you what, they do get nice. I tell you, if you ever go to a large RV show, go take a look at those Super Cs. They are quite the thing to look at. So let's see here. So let's see if anybody. Now, with that being said, does anybody have any questions about any of the different style RVs? Did I make it any clearer? Did I clear up anything for some of you out there? Because I know sometimes there's a little bit of confusion when we're looking at the different types of RVs that are out there. Hot day out there today, I'll tell you that. So anybody have any plans on going camping here in the future? I actually have a date planned the middle of July. Actually, going to be heading up to Artillery Ridge. If any of you are out there going, please do reach out to me. Be more than happy to get together. Maybe we sit around the campfire and have a little chat. So with that being said, it looks like that's everything I was going to be covering this evening. Hope that was you found that interesting, informative, and helpful. If there's something in particular that you'd like me to cover, I'd appreciate you just reaching out to me, and I'll see what I can do for you. Let's see. All right, that. Yeah, well, no, I had they were lap belts at that point, RV Dog, back then. Back in the day when my parents had one, I should say, back before I could drive, actually. But anyway.
Steve.
So what again?
Steve has a question.
Okay, let's see what we have here. Let's see. So question here, do you think come fall, the yard will be flooded with used one? I don't think by fall you're going to see it. I have a feeling that you're probably going to see maybe some an influx of the used market probably next spring. Because here I think is going to happen is, and it could probably start towards the fall, but I think next spring is going to be probably a little heavier mix of them. And the reason for it is I think what people are going to start seeing, especially the newbies, one of two things are going to happen is they're going to see that, geez, this is a little bit more work than I thought it was. Maybe this is a little bit more expensive than I thought it was. Or the other thing you're going to think, we bought the wrong one. We've got to go get something bigger. We got to go get something smaller, something along those lines, because we have that going on anyway. But now with the major influx of all these new RV sales, that's just going to exacerbate that particular type of issue. I mean, I had a customer, they bought 3 different RVs from me in 15 months. I've had last year had 2 customers buy from me in August and trade back in September. So those things do happen. So I do appreciate that question. So I do appreciate everybody showing up here this evening. I've got a lot of things I've got on my plate, a lot of videos I want to do now that we're going out camping, putting together some very helpful tips, because with me going camping now, I want to do a lot more how-to videos because I see so many people out there struggling with how to do certain things, and I want to make sure that I give you the actual factual information so that you don't run into the issues that I see people having on a regular basis. So I do appreciate everybody coming in here this evening, and be sure to join me next Tuesday night. By the way, I still working on my Make-A-Wish live. I'm just waiting for a date back, and I'm going to have the CEO as well as the owners from Beckley's Camping Center on. So be sure that you keep looking for my channel and watch for that particular video, because I'll tell you, it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a great time. So I do appreciate you joining me. Maureen, any other questions come through here? Just want to make sure. But I appreciate everybody joining. Please do give me that thumbs up if you're liking what I'm putting down here. And I'm going to be back at you again next week.